In this video, you will see how to create tiled views across two sheets using dependent views. And you will also see how to use match lines and view references to help coordinate the drawings. I have the exercise file, tiled views open, and we're looking at the floor 2 dimensions plan, and we need to place this onto a drawing sheet. In the project browser, we have a sheet created here. So we'll open this view up, and now to place the view on the sheet, I'll select it in the project browser, and then holding the mouse button down we'll drag it into the view, and then when we let go we can then click to place it in the center of the sheet. And now we can see that that's been placed. However, it's too big for this drawing sheet, and as we don't want to change the scale of the view, we will have to tile it across two individual sheets. And to do this, we'll use dependent views. So I'll swap back to the floor 2 dimensions plan here. And now to create the dependent view, we'll go to the View ribbon tab, and from the Create panel, we'll click the Duplicate View drop down, and then choose Duplicate as Dependent. And now we can see that we have a copy of that view, and looking at the project browser, we can see it shown as a sub-view of the floor 2 dimensions view. So first let's right click and rename the view, and we'll rename this to be floor 2 dimensions tile 1. And now as a dependent view, any changes that we make to either of the views will be reflected on the other. So to demonstrate this, I'll go down to the view control bar at the bottom here, and we have the toggle for the shadows. So we'll click to toggle those shadows on. Now in the view we can see that those shadows have been applied. I'll swap to the floor 2 dimensions view now, and we can see that they also have the shadows applied. So we'll go back to the view control bar and we'll toggle the shadows off. And then swapping back to the tile 1 view, we can see that the shadows have also been toggled off in there too. And this shows that any changes we make will affect the other view as well. So we need to crop this view so that it only shows half of the plan, and it will therefore fit on the sheet. So to do this, we'll select the crop region, and then we can use the drag controls here, and we'll drag this in from the right hand side to show just about half of the view here. And now that we've got that cropped, it should fit onto that sheet. I'll go back to the dimensions sheet view, and we can see the original floor 2 dimensions view is on the sheet. And looking at the project browser, we can see the sheet indicator icon here is blue against that view. So we can swap the views on the sheet. So if I select the view, and then looking at the Modify Viewports ribbon here, we have the Positioning and View panel. And we can see that from the drop down, we could choose a different view here. So let's pick the tile 1 view. And that view will replace the original view. And looking at the project browser, the sheet indicator icon is now blue next to the dependent view. So now let's rename this sheet view. So in the project browser we'll right click over it and choose rename, and then we can name this to be floor 2 dimensions tile 1. So now that we have that sheet created with its first tiled view, we need to create a new sheet and also a second dependent view. So to do this, we'll right click over the sheet view, and then we'll choose duplicate sheet and then duplicate with views. And now we need to choose how we want the view duplicated, so we'll choose duplicate as dependent. And now we can see we have a new sheet created. So looking in the project browser here, we can see we have that copied sheet, and it also has a view placed upon that sheet. So we'll right click and rename it to be floor 2 dimensions tile 2. Now looking up at the project browser, we can see that we have the second dependent view created. So let's open this view up, and then we'll right click and rename, and we'll rename this as floor 2 dimensions tile 2. Now looking at the view, we need to adjust the crop region to show the other half of the building. So I'll select it, and then using the right hand drag control here, we can drag this down to the end of the building. And then we can bring the left hand side in so that it only shows the other half of the building. And now that we've got that view created, to show how the annotation works, we can see that we have the dimensions here across the offices. And if I swap to the tile 1 view, we can see the same dimensions in this view. And if I open the floor 2 dimensions view, we can see that that is one long string going across all of those offices. So I'll select it here, and then we'll just drag it down to a new position. And now if I swap to the tile 1 view, we can see those dimensions are still selected and they're in the new position. And I'll open the tile 2 view, and again they're still selected and in their new position. That just goes to show that we can therefore make changes on any of these dependent views, and those changes will be reflected in all of the other views. So now I'll go back to the floor 2 dimensions tile 2 sheet view. And we can see that because we've adjusted the crop region, that it now is slightly off center on that drawing sheet. So I'll select the view, and from the modify viewport ribbon here, we'll click the delete button to delete it from the sheet. Looking at the project browser, we can see it's still there, although the sheet indicator icon is white now. So we'll select it and just drag it out into the view, and then we can click to place that in the center of the sheet. And we now have that second tiled view placed in the correct location on our drawing sheet. So zooming in, it would be good to place a reference to indicate the sheet number of the other tile. So I'll go back to the floor 2 dimensions view here. And from the properties palette, we'll select the crop region visible option here. And now looking in the view, we can see the crop region of the dependent views as well as this view. And we can see in the middle here where those two views overlap. So we'll place a match line between these two. And to do this, we'll go to the View ribbon tab. And from the Sheet Composition panel here, we'll click the Match Line tool. So now we just need to sketch a line down between those two crop regions here. And then we can click Finish Edit Mode to create that match line. And we can see now that that places that heavy dashed line as the match line between the views. So now we want to place a reference so that we can see the sheet number of the other tile. And to do this, we'll go to the View ribbon tab, and from the Sheet Composition panel here, we'll click View Reference. And now looking at the View Reference ribbon tab here, we can choose the target view, so we'll pick the tile 1 view. And then we'll place this reference on the left hand side of the match line. And then we'll click Modify to finish this, and then we'll go back and click on the View Reference tool once more. And then this time we'll pick the tile 2 view for the target view, and then we can click to place this on the right hand side of the reference line. So now that we have those placed, we'll go back to the tile 1 dimensions sheet view here, and zooming in, we can now see we have a reference to the second other tiled view here. And if I swap to that sheet view, again we can see we have the reference to the first tiled view. So having got those match lines and view references placed, that completes creating the tiled views.